Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The evolution of Guardiola versus Mourinho. Will the two ever be friends again? The story this video originated from was on The Athletic. The Athletic is a subscription-based sports news site delivering in-depth sports coverage for die-hard fans in the form of articles as well as podcasts. It features football reporters on the ground, with national writers you know and love like David Ornstein, James Pearce, Sam Lee, and Ralph Honigstein. The Athletic is telling you stories you won't find anywhere else, that you can access anywhere from desktop, Android, or iOS. No ads or clickbait, just great sports writing. And you can join today with a 7-day free trial to get exclusive stories on your favorite teams and leagues. After that, using the link in the description below, you can get half off your annual subscription. Or alternatively, you can just go to theathletic.co.uk/footballmadesimple to help support the channel. The closest Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho came to socializing when the two were Manchester rivals and nearby neighbors came at Tapeo and Wine, one Matters restaurant in Deansgate. There's a small room downstairs, available for private bookings, where Manchester's foreign football community relax and watch games together. One night Mourinho was dining there, until he learned that Guardiola and his entourage had booked it. Mourinho left quickly to avoid any awkwardness. This time, it was a rivalry that never quite took off. Those 2.5 years the pair spent competing in Manchester and living around the corner from one another was ultimately a disappointment. Everyone hoped for England's own equivalent to those 2 seasons when Guardiola managed Barcelona and Mourinho led Real Madrid, perhaps the greatest club rivalry of the 21st century, at least until City and Liverpool came around. Arrigo Sacchi described that spell across the 2010-11 and 2011-12 seasons as like having 2 Picassos in the same time period. It was a rare example of having the 2 best teams in the world and the 2 best managers, as well as the 2 best individual team players on opposite sides of the same divide, and with each of the teams representing the perfect embodiment of 2 polar opposite conceptions of how football should be played. Guardiola's Barcelona took possession and pressing to new levels. Mourinho insisted that great teams did not need the ball to win. Mourinho had been brought to Madrid in 2010 with the explicit purpose of knocking Guardiola off his perch. It did not start this way, with Barcelona winning the first Clásico against Mourinho's Madrid 5-0, a personal humiliation for a manager who just 6 months prior had won a historic treble with Inter Milan. It did not take long for the rivalry, initially ideological, to become bitterly personal during a draining run of 4 Clásicos in 16 days in April 2011. Ahead of the Champions League semi-final first leg, the third of the 4 matches, Mourinho targeted Guardiola's perceived hypocrisy and sanctimony over referees, mentioning the luck he had enjoyed in the past with referees. Mourinho said that until this moment, managers could be divided into 2 groups. The small one comprises those who don't talk about referees at all, and the other huge one, in which I figure, is made up of those who only criticize referees if they make important errors. But now there is a third group with only one member, Pep. It is a new group never seen in world football, somebody who criticizes a ref for getting it right. When it was Guardiola's turn to speak, he was advised not to engage with Mourinho's barbs, but instead he met them head on. He started with an epic 2.5-minute answer, pointing out that in his mind, the only true victories were on the pitch rather than in the media. And he said that he was happy to see the PR victory to his rival. In this particular press room, Guardiola snapped, "He is the boss, the big chief. I don't want to compete with him in this arena for one instant." This remains, almost 9 years on, the most personal and explosive attack of Guardiola's career. And it came with a tinge of sadness too, as Guardiola reminded Mourinho of the 4 years they spent together as young men at Barcelona. He even had to correct himself when he referred to their friendship there. No, not quite friendship, but working relationship. The 2 men did have to work closely together at Barcelona, when Bobby Robson and then Louis van Gaal were the managers. Robson brought Mourinho, his translator, to Barcelona when he replaced Johan Cruyff as manager. Mourinho was an ambitious and intelligent 33-year-old, just making his way in the game. Guardiola was only 25, but he was one of Barcelona's senior players. As detailed in Jonathan Wilson's book, The Barcelona Legacy, Guardiola was part of the Gang of Four, along with Luis Enrique, Sergi, and Abelardo. Mourinho knew that to be an effective go-between between Robson and the players, he had to get close to Guardiola, and so he did. And when Barcelona won the Cup Winners' Cup in 1997, beating Paris Saint-Germain 1-0 in the final, the two men triumphantly embraced on the touchline. Eventually, their careers diverged as Mourinho went into management, not adopting the classical Barcelona style, but something akin to its opposite. Mourinho was already established as the best in the world, with the Champions League at Porto and 2 Premier Leagues with Chelsea, before Guardiola had managed a senior game. And so, Mourinho was painfully stung in 2008, when the Barcelona board went for the untested 37-year-old over him as manager. That was one of the most important decisions in football history, giving Guardiola the platform to change the game, and Mourinho a grievance. 2 years later, they were competing in Spain as equals, but not many would say that now, with City sitting far above Tottenham in the league standings. Guardiola has spent the last decade still on top of the world game. His Bayern Munich team set new standards even if they didn't reach a Champions League final. At Manchester City, he has done the same, setting the 2 highest points totals in Premier League history, although Liverpool look on course to smash these records. Mourinho is not in the same position as he once was. At Real Madrid, he won 1 league title and left after 3 stormy years. In his second spell at Chelsea, he won 1 league title before the team collapsed, and he was sacked just before Christmas in his 3rd season. At Manchester United, he won trophies but not a league title, before being sacked after almost the same amount of time. For all the hopes that City and United would be like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they were not equal enough to be serious competitors. Mourinho knew quickly enough that City had a superior machine and superior resources to him. Over Mourinho's 2.5-year spell at Old Trafford, 93 Premier League games each, Guardiola's City won 46 points more than United. That, in a number, is why Mourinho had to take a step down to manage Tottenham this season. Florentino Perez still admires him, but he has not built a team that could claim to be Europe's best for years now. He has clearly lost his role as Guardiola's chief rival to Jurgen Klopp. But all that raises another possibility. If Guardiola and Mourinho are no longer competing for the same space or trying to prove the ultimate superiority of their idea over the others, then that might provide the room for a late career détente between the two men. Like between Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson, who were furiously at each other's throats in the late 1990s after Wenger showed up determined to unseat United. But by the end of their tenures, especially when Arsenal's challenge had been supplanted, the two men became close. They realized that they had too much in common in outlook and age and values and shared experiences to keep on sniping. Guardiola and Mourinho are not at this point yet. Guardiola has only just turned 49, but it is likely that the Spaniard's best achievements are behind him rather than in front of him. And in the future, he might look at Mourinho 24 years after they met in Barcelona and see a familiar face, someone he worked with and won with, and who reminds him of his youth rather than the boss of the Bernabeu press room. If you enjoyed this video and want more great exclusive stories like this, as well as free podcasts and more, you can head over to theathletic.co.uk/footballmadesimple to get the best stories, and it helps to support the channel as well. But what do you think of both Mourinho and Guardiola? Leave it down in the comments below. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.